Hey yo, first and foremost, shout out to Lamont Roach and Tank. That was a great fight. I enjoyed it. But yo,
All right, let's dive into this epic showdown between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. First off, I've got to give a massive shout out to both fighters. Lamont Roach and Tank put on an absolute clinic, and I loved every second of it. But here's the thing. I'm making this video because all through the build-up, people were clowning me over my victory against Lamont, saying he didn't even deserve to step into the ring with Tank. Y'all can say what you want, but at the end of the day, I got that W. Plain and simple. That's all I'm here to say. I walked away with the dub, and the boxing world's been buzzing ever since about this intense clash. So, let's break it down and talk about some of the wildest reactions that came out of this fight. Lamont Roach Jr. is no stranger to Gervonta Davis. These two go way back, all the way to the amateur ranks, where they first crossed paths, setting the stage for a rivalry that's been simmering for years. That history added an extra layer of heat to their recent showdown. Roach's father and trainer, Lamont Rassar, has had a front-row seat to Davis's rise, watching him transform into a bona fide boxing superstar. But don't think that past familiarity softened anything in the lead-up to this fight. Tensions were sky-high, and the atmosphere was electric. Roach didn't mince words when he spoke to boxing scene before the bout, saying, "My mindset is to beat his ass." That's the kind of fire he was bringing to the table. Roach earned his shot at glory back in November 2023 when he claimed the WBA lightweight title, outpointing Hector Luis Garcia on the undercard of David Benavidez's win over Demetrius Andrade. He went on to defend that belt once against Fluke on Pro Box TV, proving he could hang with the best. That set him up for this career-defining moment, a chance to take on Tank Davis, one of the biggest opportunities any boxer could dream of. Roach knew the odds were stacked against him, though. "This camp is different because I feel like they're counting me out," he said, feeding off the doubters to fuel his hunger. At 29 years old, he was ready to seize the moment and show the world what he's made of. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford stirred the pot with some bold takes of his own. The former undisputed champ didn't hold back, saying that in today's boxing landscape, only his buddy Shakur Stevenson and stablemate Keyshawn Davis, fresh off earning his stripes among the lightweight elite, had what it takes to hand Tank his first real loss. Crawford's words carried weight and got people talking. Tank, though, has built a reputation as a relentless finisher, the kind of fighter who sends opponents scrambling for cover with his devastating power. Just look at his last few fights. He stopped Frank Martin in his only 2024 outing, and the year before that, he flattened Ryan Garcia with a knockout that's still echoing through the sport. Lamont Roach Jr. was stepping into deep waters, facing what looked like an impossible mountain to climb. But let's not forget, boxing's full of moments where the underdog flips the script. Muhammad Ali stared down George Foreman in Zaire, and what happened next became a legend. The Rumble in the Jungle, etched forever in history. Roach was looking to channel that same energy. He kicked things off with a classic line before the fight. "Roses are red, violets are blue, March 1st sounds like, and the new." He wasn't just there to defend his title or challenge Tank. This was personal. Their beef stretches back to 2011 when Davis got the better of Roach twice in the amateurs. Over a decade later, Roach was itching for payback, and he wasn't shy about letting everyone know. Tank, though, wasn't the type to back down from a challenge, especially when the trash talk started flying. The second Roach opened his mouth, Davis was ready with a comeback. "Roses are red, violets are blue. March 1st sounds like a D-word, baby. You'll be home soon from the hospital." Ouch. The fans ate it up, flooding social media with reactions ranging from hyped-up cheers to straight-up skepticism. One thing was clear. They were loving the back-and-forth drama leading into fight night. Crawford wasn't done throwing shade either, alongside Shakur Stevenson and a chorus of others hyping up Keyshawn Davis, who recently nabbed the WBO lightweight title. The idea of a unification clash with Tank started feeling less like a pipe dream and more like a real possibility. When a reporter asked Crawford about it, he shrugged and said, "Whoever," before dropping a truth bomb. Tank knows what he's up against when he fights Shakur or Keyshawn. Crawford's critique wasn't new. Plenty of people have said Tank's been cherry-picking opponents and can't match his level. "They might have a little skill here and there," Crawford explained, "but mentally, they're not going to be able to keep it up." He left Roach's name off the list of guys who could topple Tank, pointing instead to Shakur and Kashan as the real threats. Them two guys right there, you know what I mean, are going to be the ones that give Tank his first defeat, he said, doubling down on a viral tweet he posted earlier. Tank fired back, calling Crawford a meat lover, but the jab didn't faze the Nebraskan one bit. Former champ Mikey Garcia chimed in too, breaking down the Davis-Roach matchup in an interview with Fight Hub TV. Tank is one of the very best fighters, definitely in the lightweight division, Garcia said. I don't think Roach would be a huge threat for Tank. Tank is very talented, very skilled, and also very experienced at this point. Now he's fought and seen pretty much every style there is, and his power is tremendous. Garcia wasn't disrespecting Roach, but he couldn't see past Tank's dominance. It's hard to go against Tank. He's been proving it every fight, and he probably will win this fight as well, he added. As for a potential Tank-Shakur showdown, Garcia wasn't sold. He respects Stevenson's slick style, speed, footwork, and counterpunching, but doesn't think it would make for an exciting fight. Shakur is going to fight his fight, regardless of what the critics, the fans, or anybody want to see, Garcia said. Winning is winning for him. As a fan, that hit and don't get hit approach didn't do it for me. I'd rather see Tank square off with someone like Vasyl Lomachenko, who's more likely to stand and trade. Tank Davis, though, is a different beast entirely. The Baltimore native is a knockout machine, with fights that almost never go the distance. His highlight reel could rival anyone's in the game, and word from the gym is he's been dropping sparring partners, some much bigger than him, in training. Veteran commentator Jim Lampley had his own take before the fight, predicting Tank would notch his 31st win and 29th KO against Roach. Lamont Roach has done his best to portray optimism, Lampley said. He's pointed out that he saw Davis in the amateur ranks and is already familiar with the 135-pound champion's precision, power, and style. He's underlined his motivation to begin fulfilling his dreams of building a legend, but Lampley wasn't buying it. What he has yet to do is present a convincing outline for how he can solve a puzzle that has produced a lengthy series of spectacularly violent knockouts and made Tank Davis one of the biggest and most upwardly mobile names in boxing. Lampley went on to praise Tank's all-around game. Even if Tank did not possess his shocking punching power, he would be an elite lightweight on the basis of his crafty boxing, southpaw-style advantage, clever footwork, and visible killer instinct. While Tank Davis is known for his incredible skill, it's his raw power that truly sets him apart. He doesn't just beat his opponents, he annihilates them in a breathtaking, often terrifying fashion. His finishes are so dominant, they leave fans and analysts in awe, drawing comparisons to a young Mike Tyson. When you think of Tank's knockouts, it's not just about the victory, but the spectacle of how he dismantles his opponents in such a decisive manner. Veteran commentator Jim Lampley, who has seen his fair share of explosive performances, couldn't help but make the Tyson comparison. However, Lampley also saw Roach as a solid fighter, just outmatched in the face of Tank's ferocity. When I asked one of the most experienced boxing writers I know about Roach's chances in this fight, his response was telling. He said, "The same chance I'd give to a caterpillar crawling in the way of a steamroller." The sentiment was clear. Tank was a force of nature, and Roach would likely fall victim to his power, possibly by a middle-round TKO. That said, Bernard Hopkins wasn't as quick to write off Lamont Roach. Speaking with Michelle Joy Phelps from Fight Hub TV, Hopkins made it clear that while he respects Tank's ability to give anyone problems, the burden of proof was still on Roach. "Tank Davis, to me, he's going to give anybody problems," Hopkins said, emphasizing that Roach couldn't be underestimated. Roach is a real good fighter, a boxer and a puncher, and he had some confidence from the amateurs. Hopkins acknowledged that in boxing, anything could happen, and Roach's skills could turn the fight into something interesting if Tank didn't bring his A-game. Roach himself shed light on how this fight came together. Years ago, he had agreed to face Tank, but since he wasn't a champion at the time, the bout fell through. Instead, PBC went with Hector Luis Garcia as Tank's opponent. Now, with the title in his hands and a golden opportunity for redemption, Roach was determined to rewrite history. It wasn't just about getting revenge on Tank. It was about proving himself as a true champion and silencing the doubters. Even with Bernard Hopkins in his corner, hyping him up and boosting his confidence, B-Hop wasn't letting Roach get too cozy. He knew Roach could be a sleeper threat, an underdog with skills that could catch Tank off guard if he wasn't careful. Hopkins's cautious optimism for Roach was a reminder that in boxing, anything is possible. That's the rundown on this wild fight. Tank versus Roach wasn't just another title defense. It was the culmination of years of tension, a story of redemption, and a high-stakes showdown that had fans buzzing for weeks. The boxing world is still feeling the aftershocks of this incredible bout, and the impact will be talked about for years to come. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the fight, don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. This wasn't just a fight, it was history in the making.